I'm Mr. Liao and welcome to our PSLE English Language Revision series. Today I'm going to share with you the synthesis and transformation section. Alright, what are some of the things to take note of for this section? Alright, before we begin, two things to take note of. First, be in a comfortable and quiet environment for learning. Alright, so you may want to put away your distractions. And the second is to have a notebook with you to take down notes or attempt the examples along the way. All right, so you have these two things ready. All right, let's continue. All right, today I'm going to share with you these 4 areas: direct and reported speech. Direct and reported speech, in particular, I'm looking at questions. And the third part will be the despite and in spite of kind of synthesis and transformation questions. And the last will be transformation. Okay. Let's talk about direct and reported speech. So your teachers may have gone through with you different ways to take to check your answers. So these are the four words that you need to remember. Okay, TP. Okay, so tenses, pronouns, the time, and the place. All right. Or some of you in Peitong, right? You remember as PT. Either way, you just have to remember tenses, pronouns, time, and place. These 4 things you need to check for your answers. So tenses are words like your is, your verbs, kicks, must, your models as well. Okay, pronouns, he, us, you, myself. You may need to change this as well. Time, when something is reported, there's a change of time. Place, when something is reported, your reference of the place will be different as well. So, first question to ask you, must tenses and pronouns always be changed? No. All right. So for these 2 you need to take note of: facts and universal truth. It is very important that you do not change the tense for such universal facts. For example, the sun rises from the east. Okay, you cannot report the speech and say that the sun rose from the east. So when you use the word past tense rose, you are saying that the sun no longer rises from the east. Okay, that is absolutely wrong. All right. Or in certain instances when you're reporting, using present tense reporting, Lydia says that right at that moment, then you will do so. All right. But what I've observed in the past papers and all this, we hardly see this kind of present tense reporting. But again, who knows? It may come out in certain test items. All right, so coming to this, let's give you an example. Paul says, I am very hungry now. Paul says will be my tense. The tense, you see that I'll need to change it from present tense to past tense. So Paul says to Paul said. All right. Your pronouns, I, is no longer you, but you're referring to Paul. So the I, you need to change it to he. Am is still present tense, you change it to was. Make sure that is referring to the correct pronoun. Right? Place, now, or rather time. Now, you need to change it to then. So after you have reported it, it will be Paul said that he was very hungry then. All right. So I check again. Said, was, this is my tense. My pronouns, yes. My time, yes. Is there a place? No. Okay, so this is how you apply your TP way of checking. So, moving on, is there a difference between a statement and a question? Obviously, right? So what is the difference? I am hungry. And then a question, am I hungry? Okay, I'm missing a question mark there. But anyway, so do you notice what's the difference? Yes, the subject and the verb, they are at different position. So for a statement, the subject comes first, followed by the action. But for questions, the verb comes first, followed by your subject. Okay? So in reported speech for questions, right, this is where you need to change the order of these 2, the subject and the verb. All right? Jim asked, where is the cat that lives here? It will be incorrect for me to say, Jim asked, where was the cat that lived there? All right. So you realize that the was, where, the cats, and then the was actually moved right to the end. Okay. So you see that I need to make sure that from a VS, it becomes a SV. So in reported questions, right, Jim asked where the cat that lived there was. It'd be incorrect for me to say Jim asked where was the cat that lived there. All right, so you need to take note of this for questions, reporting questions. All right, and here obviously the place here, you need to change it to there. Okay, these are some things to take note of in terms of tenses. So your present simple tense, you need to change to past tense. Past continuous, your present continuous, you need to change to past continuous. So will, you need to change it to would. Can, you need to change to could. So pause this video, look through this, and make sure that you have a very clear idea of how to change the tenses for reported speech. Okay, moving on, we'll be looking at rules of using despite and in spite of. So despite and in spite of, they actually means the same thing. Okay, she will not take her coat off despite the heat. She will not take her coat off in spite of the heat. So you see, I can use them interchangeably. And despite and in spite of are prepositions, not conjunctions. Therefore, despite and in spite of are used before nouns. Repeat after me, used before nouns. Okay, so it is incorrect for you to say in spite of we protested, they took him away. In spite of something, a noun or a noun phrase. So although we protested, they took him away, that is correct. But if I'm going to use in spite of, so in spite of our protesting, okay, in spite of our protests, okay, they still took him away. All right, so do take note of that when you use despite, you need to make sure that there's a noun that comes after that. You need to change it to a noun. So similarly, if I use the word despite our protesting, they still took him away. It is all right. They mean the same thing, both despite and in spite of. All right, so use despite and in spite of to introduce a fact that is in sharp contrast with another fact. So there's a very big difference. All right, in spite of all their money, they should be very happy. They are still not happy. In spite of all their money, they are still not happy. All right, so in spite is always followed by of. Take note now. So I cannot say in spite poor health. In spite of poor health. Similarly, you do not say despite of. Okay, in spite of poor health, my father was always cheerful. All right, do not use of after despite, as what I mentioned earlier. Despite of my qualifications, I could not get a job. That's incorrect. Despite my qualifications, or in spite of my qualifications. Okay, and do take note that the spelling of in spite of is not joined together. It's two separate words. Now the last part I'm going to go through briefly, transformation from verbs to noun. So I was annoyed that I could not finish the novel. So much to my annoyance. So you see, there's a change in these two words in red. Annoyed to annoyance. Okay, I could not finish reading the novel. So you realize that for certain verbs, right, we need to change it to a noun. So variation. I developed chickenpox. Okay, due to his development of chickenpox. Do you see how I change the word, transform it, contract, contraction, discover, discovery. Okay, so Christopher Columbus discovered a new island. Because of Christopher Columbus's discovery. So this is how we change, we transform words so that when we write the sentences, it still keep the similar meaning. The meaning still retains. All right. So there are a lot more other than those listed in this list. Okay. So what is very good for you to do, right, is that go through, look through. Maybe you can even look on the internet, right, for some practices for the different kinds of verbs. How do I change it to and practice changing them to noun, or sometimes you may even need to change them to adjective, and what is their adverb forms as well. Okay, from adjectives to nouns. So difficult, difficulty. Okay, major, majority, anxious, anxiety. All right, so these are some examples in this table. John helped us, he was being kind. So John helped us out of kindness. So you see, I retain the same meaning of this sentence, but then I transform the word kind to kindness. All right, so a summary. All right, my apologies that my talking bubble is blocking a bit of the words. Okay, so these 4 sections: direct to reported speech. We talk about tenses: TP, pronoun, time, and place. For questions, make sure that you change the position of the verb and noun. Switch them around. Despite and in spite of, remember it's always a noun or noun group. And transformation, basically a change of the words, the types of words. But you must make sure that you keep the meaning of the sentence the same. All right, that's all I have for you for today. Continue to have a growth mindset. Apply the things that you have learned today in your practice papers or in your practices. All right, that's all for today. All the best and see you around. Take care. Bye.